I'm pretty sure we've all been victims of our emotions before. In the past or present, we've also come to our emotions and how we perceive them. Emotions come in different forms. You have anger, happiness, sadness, fear, disgust, and many more. Well, right now we're going to talk about three emotions, which are anger, happiness, and sadness, and how they can be managed in our everyday lives. I read the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and found quotes that would help in this video. Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor and a Stoic philosopher who was one of the 5 good emperors when he was alive. He was an ideal representative of virtue, and he wrote a book called The Meditations, which is said to help deal with whatever comes your way. Growing up, I had what everybody believes to be known as anger management problems or anger issues. I remember not being able to express when I'm angry because expressing myself felt like the stupid thing to do. It's either I lash out or I make some fighting gestures. It would get to a point where I couldn't even have conversations because I was angered, and the only thing going through my head was fighting back or yelling. Especially when it's in between an argument. If my voice feels like it's not being heard, I lash out and I get mad at everything around me. It led me to never want to apologize for what I do and always be ready to want to prove myself by force. And I know there's some people out there who will be like, nah, you were only like 10 years old. You didn't understand how to express yourself at that age. And I understand that. But unfortunately, it continued up until my teenage years. I tried to control it during that time because I didn't want it to carry on for that long. My parents didn't make it any better, but I was trying for myself. I would get into arguments with my parents, and when I tried to de-escalate the situation, they would only escalate it to the point where I would get really angry and just lose myself. But I also blame myself for that because I let them make me lose my temper. Something I've been working on for years. Marcus Aurelius says, "You have the power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." I realized that at a later age that I'm not in control of how anyone else reacts to something. Instead, I can control how I think about what is happening and go from a different approach. I told myself to never let my anger get the best of me, and should never be what I resort to when I disagree with somebody. Being able to control that is a sign of strength, not weakness. You don't need to act hard or be angry just to prove something. Let your attitude towards it speak for itself. Marcus Aurelius also says to look well into yourself. There's a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look. I wrote that down in a different term. It was more of a thou thyself type of writing, but I had to write it down in a different form. Mental strength and fortitude should be what you need when you're dealing with tough situations. Because you never know what might happen when you do get angry and actually do something you don't like. According to Marcus, how much more grievous are the consequences of your anger than the causes of it? You should only express anger whenever it's needed. I'm learning to control it daily, and there are a lot of people in the world who will want to see you crash and burn, but don't let them get in your head. Don't let them get in your head. So all I do now when I'm angry is just walk away and or go for a walk and just talk about it talk about whatever I'm feeling. Okay, it's not unmanly to do it. It's something that you just have to do. This has been my base emotion growing up. I don't know if it has to do with my name or just because I didn't know what emotions to express. I kind of went with this one. My name, Ayurmida, means my joy has arrived. My happiness has arrived in English. The reason I stay happy is because after reading some words from various philosophers, my outlook on life has changed. I think this is my favorite quote that I live by. If it's something that can be controlled, fix it. And if it can't be controlled, let it go. Something along the lines of that. It was different variations to that quote. Happiness comes from within. Okay? And as much as you try to fake your happiness, it has to come from within. I grew up that way because I realized that life is hard. And it just isn't sunshine and rainbows, but it can feel that way if you take away all the negatives and think more on the positives. Happiness can come from chasing your dreams, doing something you love, having hobbies that are generated from social circles, and most importantly, being alive. Just being alive. Okay, people sometimes forget that being alive should give you a sense of joy and happiness every day. Not everyone wakes up to see the next day. Now, according to Marcus, our life is what our thoughts make it. If you believe your life to be as great as you want it to be, it will be just that. Manifestation is key in all that. Manifest your joys and watch them unfold in your life. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, says Marcus. Comparison, as well as social media, also causes this. Whenever we see people who look like they have better lives than us, we tend to feel sad that our life isn't going to be worth anything when we're gone. And that there are more people who are enjoying a great life while I'm here not doing the things I love, which brings me to the next emotion. This is one of my hardest to talk about. Growing up, I was always somewhat of a crybaby. It could be like the most mundane thing, and I'll cry because I didn't know how to handle the situation. I had to learn all these growing up because younger me couldn't do anything. I wasn't able to. I didn't have any control over anything. Anger and sadness were always the forefront of every bad circumstance in my childhood life. But going up to my teenage years, I had to tell myself that crying over nonsensical things shouldn't be what I do to fix a problem. I should always fix it to the best of my abilities and try to understand it. And I should only cry whenever it's something that's very hurtful. But unfortunately, that ended up leading me to bottle up my emotions whenever I felt anything. It was hard to cry once I got to my teen years because I had started to keep them deep down within me all the time, all in the name of strength. I was told, that famous quote, men don't cry. Men don't cry. I was told it's weak for me to cry when I lost someone very close to me. I cried for weeks. I cried, and then I was told to stop crying because as a man, I'm supposed to comfort the people who are also affected by the tragedy. I couldn't grieve like everyone else. I was told as a man, I can't be that low in mental strength. that made me hate who I was. I didn't want to be that character that they saw me as. So I did what I could and bottled up my emotions, only for me to have the same thoughts towards other people as well. I told some people not to show emotions because of who they are. But what I didn't know was it was a cycle of lies that was being told. I was repeating a cycle. I was ignorant about my emotions and I thought it was normal to never cry. I had someone tell me that it's okay to cry as a man, and that myth is stupid. Everyone needs time to process everything, and keeping them locked in doesn't do you any justice at all. It doesn't. Never be afraid to show your sadness, for in those times could give strength to those around you who need it the most. That's why I tell myself every day. Marcus Aurelius also says something about that. If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever really truly harmed. It is the person who continues in his self-deception and ignorance who is harmed. As a man, I read before you. Your tears are not weaknesses, they are your strength, and they are one of your strengths. Do not be held down by the shackles of your emotions, for they are things you can control. Control your emotions, feel what you need to feel, and just let it pass. Don't let it hold you down at all. And with that, I bid you farewell. Hope you have a great week ahead of you. I'll see you next time. Deuces.